Hey guys, welcome to the show, Nat. Guys, this is my best friend, long-term best friend, Nat. We got on the show, first episode of season 2. I'm so excited for this. You guys should be so hyped for this episode. Nat's got a lot to say, and we're excited to dive in. So stick around for a couple dozen minutes, and we'll provide you guys with some great insight, great experience in hockey. So hope all the hockey fans are listening out here. And yeah, want to welcome Nat. There you go.
Excited.
Amazing. So Nat, why don't you just do a little quick introduction, why you're here today, what you want to talk about?
Well, obviously, like you said, like we're longtime friends. We've known each other since we were little beans. So I was really excited and happy when you asked me to be on the podcast because I've been like a listener to your episodes, especially in the first season, which I liked a lot. And yeah, I'm just here to like spread some info, like my experiences within the OUA and how my experiences went through like going from junior to a higher level of compete, and just talking about like, some issues maybe that I was seeing within, and I'm excited to share them. So yeah.
That's great. And we're happy to have you, listeners. I hope you're excited as well. So just building off that, let's just tap right into you becoming a varsity athlete. So for those of you who don't know, Nat is a goaltender on the Ryerson female hockey team. So doing great stuff there, now in her 4th year. So just want to talk about what's your experience like been as a varsity athlete?
It's been tough. Like coming into my first year, it was a very big change from like practicing 2 times a week to practicing every day and having a regimen and working out every day and all that stuff. First year was a little hard, but obviously the girls on my team are amazing and like so welcoming. I mean, I could say that for every team I played with, but like it was just a different experience coming in and building up, like the pandemic that's happening right now. It was the last year we didn't really have a season, so it's kind of hard to like stick together as a team. Like everybody was home. No one, like, we didn't really have a lot of practices. I think we had a few within like the first month, and that was it because everything got shut down last year. So it was hard. This year though, thank God that we have a season. I'm excited for it. Same goes for every other team out there. Like we're going to have a lot of people that are new, and we didn't have a season last year. They didn't have a chance to play. So it'll be different. I'm excited though. I'm feeling pretty good now. Like I feel like a 4th year coming in now that I know my ropes. I know what to do. I'm chill. So I'm actually just super excited to play and, get the season going. I don't know, like it's just been a good experience. Like I wouldn't say anything negative with my experience. I would say that it's been hard. I would say that it's been challenging, especially juggling like school and stuff like that. But it's not impossible. That's all.
No, that's a lot to say there. I'm glad you're looking forward to the season. We're looking forward to supporting you and watching you. Yes, I know I'm saying that as a U of T member and Varsity Blues fan, but I also got to rep my girl Nat. So
okay. You can just cheer for me and then cheer for them. You know what I mean? That's
okay. Right. We'll be civil about it. But awesome. So tell me about your expectations coming in from high school to university level hockey. Like how was that kind of transition into the atmosphere?
Again, like I said, like it was hard only because like being in junior and you're like at home and it's 2 practices, maybe 3 practices a week and like a couple games here and there. Yeah, it's high level intensity, but the difference like coming in, you're like, I had to move obviously because I live in Wasaga Beach. That's a little too long of a commute. So I moved. That was new for me. I've never like lived on my own. Starting right from the get-go, moved, learning how to provide for myself, learning how to make sure I have all my classes in on time, because if you don't, you're not playing. Making sure you get your workouts in. Again, if you don't, you're not playing, stuff like that. So it's just a lot of making sure you get your priorities straight, I feel like. I know a lot of girls on my team definitely struggled with that, unfortunately. But it could have been worse, because we have a lot of help. We have academic advisors, we have like mental health coaches that we can talk to. So we have all the resources. It's just whether or not players use them. Me personally, I was a little rookie coming in my first year, still 18 years old, like ready to play and excited. Obviously didn't get a lot of playing time. It's my first year. I didn't expect much. But you know, like you just got to keep grinding, right? Like I wasn't expecting to be first string. I wasn't expecting to be second string for that matter. Coming in my first year, but you know, coming to practice every day, coming in hard, wanting and having that grit to keep going, even though like you're sitting on the bench, you're sitting in the stands. I feel like that was also a big challenge for not even only me, like a lot of the rookies that came in with me. My experiences coming in that first year were a lot of just making sure you have grit, you know, like making sure that you're up for the challenge, making sure that you like, no matter what puts you down, you're still up for it. That's probably for all the whole OUA, like doesn't matter what sport it is. Like if you're a rookie coming in your first year, like you got to earn your spot, you got to earn your ice time, which I've hopefully done. We'll see. I mean, we have our first game tomorrow, so we'll see. And yeah, I don't know. I was just excited, and it was nice being downtown. Obviously, being near you and Riley, like two of my good friends here. So yeah, I don't know. It was a challenge, keeping all those priorities and you know keeping them in line, but we're here now.
We're here now. No, yeah.
So we're all good so far.
Exactly. No, honestly, I commend you and like all athletes, but especially in your part, because I know how much you put into getting where you are and the work that it took to get there. And I know that that's a battle every single day on top of everything else you have to manage, like being an ordinary student that people don't think about when you're not a varsity athlete. So I can only imagine what that toll is taken. And then on top of that, dealing with putting in all that work and then you show up and you're not playing.
Yeah, exactly.
And knowing that like that's an investment into your future for you to get there one day. And hopefully this year is your year, coming in as your fourth year.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really excited to see that. But no, I don't think you give yourself enough credit when you say that, because it's one thing for a player, but especially on a goaltender end, when you guys are most likely splitting games anyways, depending on, you know, the success of your team, what that's looking like, year you guys are in, it's really up for debate.
Yeah.
So
no, the way you put that was like perfectly, like it's all about like you have to, it's like all mental, right? At this point, like if you can have your grades, you can be physically fit, but if you're other goalies or whatever, if you're a defensive forward, whatever, if the other players are playing, you're simply just not going to play. So you could be great in every other aspect, but if you're not like, if you're not there mentally, if you're not mentally tough enough to keep going and keep pushing, keep challenging yourself, I feel like that's where a lot of especially rookies fall off and either lose the love of the game. Just don't give the effort into practice because like, what's the point? Thank God I had a great, my dad and my mom, I got to commemorate them because they've been with me all throughout. And especially my dad, like he's the one always telling me like, it doesn't matter. Like you just keep going, you keep trying, you keep playing, and you will get your shot, you know, and when you get your shot, don't fuck it up, basically. Excuse my language, so sorry.
No, and that's a good, honestly, like life lesson.
Yeah.
Because, right, like it's on and off the ice, and that continues, and it's understanding that, you know, you got to work for it. And even then, it's a mental battle. Exactly. So I do like that you brought that up.
Yeah. Like if it's if a goalie's hot, like obviously your coach is not going to take him out and put you in, right? You got to wait for your opportunity. And while you're waiting, you just got to keep grinding on the ice or on the pitch, on the field, on the court, wherever you're working, and just keep in the game, you know, like that's how I've gotten through so far.
No, that's fair. Let's switch gears. Let's talk more about your relationship with the sport as a female LGBT plus member. Do you want to kind of just shed light on anything on that respect and your relationship with hockey and how that's been?
Yeah, well, I've been on skates since I was 3 years old. So I've been playing since I was like 6. There wasn't really a lot of female like leagues for that age, I guess I would say. I mean, by that time it's like Timbits, right? 6 years old, Timbits. Yeah, so I was playing on a little boys team, whatever, it was fine. But you know, I really liked my transition from going to like a boys team to a girls team. It was nice to have friends, people to talk to, you know, have sleepovers. We're young, like we want to have fun too. Like it's at that point, yeah, it's a sport and to keep you going, get the energy out. But it's also like a little like a social aspect, you know, make some friends. coming into like going from boys to girls hockey when I was that young, again, like I said, there's not a lot, right? Like I went to the tryout as a defense and there was no goalies that showed up. And that's my story of how I became a goalie, because I begged my father to be one and he reluctantly said yes. And here we are today. But it was just, I'm just glad that, you know, the sport has evolved so much. Like like, I mean, we could have played together, but but it's evolved so much, right? Like from there, it's nice to see that there's actual new teams and new leagues forming for women in sport, because there's actually a higher demand. I especially like I a girl on my team that I used to play with is actually an advocate for Black Girls Hockey Club, I think it's called, right?
Yep, I follow them.
Right?
They're doing great stuff.
They're doing amazing stuff. Like they're opening up opportunities for young Black girls to actually push themselves and get into the sport, which is great. I worked with throughout the past 2 years at Ryerson, I've been doing helping out lower income kids, you know, to get on the ice and push them out, not just women, but like, you know, people who don't have the opportunity, which I found great.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's even on that note, you know, yesterday Scotiabank just announced their Hockey for All program, right? PKCUN just had that. So, you know, you're seeing on an institutional level those kind of movements take place, and it's good because those are concrete, right? So you actually know actual change is coming rather than just organizations kind of saying their piece. So yeah, we need to be more inclusive, which you know is great.
Where's the action?
Exactly. You got to back it up. So seeing that alliance with, I know that's the HDA. We're talking sports all around here, but that affects everyone, right? And like we're in a sport that's mainly dominated by men,
for sure,
which means that like if change is coming first, it'll come for the men, but if it's not even coming for the men, it's not coming for the women. Exactly. So we got to start somewhere. That being said, Hockey for All, we're talking about everyone, but we know where the change is we're gonna see it first.
Exactly. That makes sense. LGBTQ plus side, I mean, I'm pansexual. I came out like a couple years ago. It's no big deal.
Woo! We gotta applaud that. We gotta applaud that.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really come out till like later in university, and honestly, like hockey through university has helped me a lot, especially being like in Toronto and downtown. Like it's a very vivacious queer space. Like
we're talking right now in the Gay Pride Village right now.
In the Gay Pride Village. So like, I mean, obviously, I really found myself, and I mean, the amount of like love and support I received from like not even my team, just like people all in the OUA, not even on Ryerson. It could be U of T or York or whatever. Like no one really cares in women's hockey, especially downtown. Like it's just a part of who you are. So I've had the privilege, honestly, I should say that I've had the privilege to not receive or have heard any like homophobic, any remarks, nothing bad towards me, towards many of my teammates who are part of the queer community, nothing like that. That being said, I do know what happens, especially not in like a queer good like
like just
environment,
right? Just
like,
our space, right? Like we're in a very multicultural space, which comes from outside of race, also sexual orientation and preferences.
There's still a lot of work to be done,
but
by all means,
but like when it comes to comparing it to those more, you know, less urban rural states and those kind of communities, there's a different kind of foundation there. And so definitely great to see that you've kind of had that experience. So talk a little bit more about the support that you received from your team and the organization, and was there kind of like a shift? Was there some sort of change after you've come out into like what that support looked like for you?
I wouldn't say like, no, obviously no one's really view of me changed. Like no big deal. I think you and Riley were the first ones I've told, and then I told a couple girls in my team and they were like happy for me, you know, like it wasn't in there to them. It wasn't a big deal. They're like, oh, cool. You know, like, and then we say the same, we're still the exact same as before. And I like, that was a huge weight lifted off my shoulder. Obviously, you know, our conversation we had, I was like, oh my God, it was not a big deal at all. Whatever. but nothing like, I don't even know. Like, I feel like I don't even need to tell people that I'm like queer anymore. It doesn't really matter to me. It's just like, if you need to know, you know, and I have a partner. So like, if
You'll find out.
you'll find out. Right. So it doesn't really matter, but like within the community with coaching staff, everything, they are all here for it. They're positive about it. I have had no issues with them. No changes in regards of looks like towards me. I will say, however, like this is kind of a little off topic, but it is kind of sad that you don't really see that with like men's hockey or like male dominated sports, which is kind of sad because like it is very welcoming within my team. Like we play women's hockey, you're gonna have some queer girls on your team. It's just ratio, like it's gonna happen, and you don't like see any gay men or any queer men on hockey teams play or come out because they're like scared of it, which and you've seen like on NHL, like I saw some guy come out and there's like a huge backlash or something, and I was like, oh my god, like didn't think someone's identity really mattered this much in a sport. Like,
you know, I'm glad you mentioned that because it's a very, very fair point. You know, earlier we talked about sort of the luxuries that come with a male dominated sport for some advantages they have, but it also comes at a disadvantage as well. Especially when we're talking about, you know, fluidity here, and acceptance. And I think just like, you know, there's resistance there because you have the stereotypes, male athlete, tough, you know, don't act like a girl. And that definitely comes out. And I know your Bills hat reminded me right now of just what's going on in the NFL and all of their issues. And they got, you know, they got the one player who's openly gay and like he sat out the last practice.
Like no one wants to take him now because
it's not even that, but it's just like he sat out the last practice because they have a lot of coaching issues right now in terms of scandals. Basically there's a lot of like racial discrimination, just discrimination in general that came out from years back, and he was so offended by it and so just taken back that he couldn't even come on the field of practice.
Wow, I didn't hear this story.
This happened today actually.
Really?
Wow.
So
it's a thing. Yeah, guys, for your reference, we're talking right now, it's October 14th, so we're about a week before this episode's going to be released, just in case you're wondering what references we're making.
I need you to send me that link after. I actually want to read about it.
Yeah, no, definitely, I'll send it to you.
No, but there was that one NFL guy that he came out and then no one would take him after, exactly. Like he got like put on whatever, and then
no, you're completely right.
He's queer, like I don't get that. If you're good at your sport and you're good at what you do, it should not matter. Race, if you're part of the LGBT,
it doesn't impact your performance.
Exactly.
Right.
It has nothing to do with that. I
completely agree. But no, I'm glad you mentioned that. Not off topic, very much on topic. So I'm very happy you mentioned that. But let's continue into the space then, where it's a great segue because now I really want to talk about the kind of the external factors. So we understand your experience, but like you mentioned, you've had the luxury of being placed in a city that's very accepting. When we're trying to look at organizations, systems as a whole, you often hear the term systemic racism, right? Systemic discrimination. Those barriers all come from the system and the organization itself. So looking at things like the OUA as a whole, or even hockey as a sport as a whole, professional sports, where do you see sort of where we are right now in terms of diversity and inclusion, how that compares to your experience now, on maybe any steps that you think we need to go into?
Well, like I was saying before, like remember the Black Girls Hockey Club, I'm really glad that's happening because in all honesty, you do not see many BIPOC women in hockey, at all.
No.
Like we had our captain 2 years ago was Black and amazing, like she did an amazing job, and that was like the extent of it. Like we had another D that was Black as well, and that was about it. You know, like hockey, male and female, is like strictly dominated by non-BIPOC people, which is kind of sad. Like it's sad to see. I'm glad Black Girls Hockey Club opened up because of that, because it introduces to a little girls that, you know what, you don't have to like only have to play this sport, or you only have to draw, or you don't have to do art. You can also go into things that you actually want to do. Like you can try new things.
And by sport, she means basketball, track.
Yeah,
that's what she means.
All those things like that.
Though basketball, track are amazing. We're not kind of fawning on that. All we're saying is hockey's an option.
You're not like excluded to just those sports. You know, you open up, you can try new things, and I feel like a lot of, especially little Black girls, maybe are just intimidated by it because it's so dominated by non-BIPOC people, you know, it's not a space that they want to be in.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I know I touched this in season 1, but I'll continue to mention this again. I'm always just baffled by the fact of how people are just so amazed when they say, "Oh, you play hockey?"
Yeah,
and I'm like,
right?
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, okay." Like they don't know how to respond because they're like, they didn't see the conversation going in that direction. They're not sure what to ask.
Yeah.
I'm like, what would you ask any other hockey player?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why does that have to be so like
what? Yeah,
it should just be like normal. Like you can play what you want to play, but
100%.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't had a lot of any Black women or BIPOC people in general just be on my hockey team. So I haven't, thankfully, experienced my teammates with like any racism or racist remarks on the ice. However, I do remember a game that my sister actually played a while back, and she did have a Black girl on her team. And after the game, at the handshake, another player, the opposing team, called her the N-word, which was like, and nothing was done about it. I mean, mind you, it was maybe 10, 15 years ago, still not acceptable by any means, but it was a different time back then where people didn't really give a rat's ass, you know, did not really care. They're like, oh, whatever. It was
the one term that bothers me the most is it is a different time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it was a different time, but I mean, we keep using that as a shield to justify action.
It should not be.
And so it's things like, for instance, going back, I know I keep going back to NFL. It's because this stuff happened today, guys. But like in the NFL, the remarks in the emails that were found were from a decade ago. And so I love that the scrutiny, though, is still there despite it being a decade ago, because like, okay, it was a different time, but if those things were said once, they're still going to be said going forward. And
especially with no penalty
no penalty, right? Because there's no process of education, because it's just like, oh yeah, like that's okay. And then what they do is, as time goes on, they know, oh wait, it's not okay, instead of actually unlearning those behaviors and learning to accept and to accept, you know, diversity. Rather, what they do is they stay silent because I don't want to get caught. And that's a different mindset. Those are not the same thing. So I commend you for saying that, like, look, that's still not okay, even though that happened. But trust me, like, I can relate to that story for sure. Like, it happens countlessly. And I'm sad to say, though, I wouldn't be surprised if you asked even one of those two players that you mentioned that they've experienced countless stories.
That's the sad part about it. In the back of my mind, I know they've endured it on the ice. I know they probably endured it off the ice too, all the scrutiny, especially because they're probably like one of the first to like join like
at a varsity level,
you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So it's just sad in my eyes. Like, it should not be happening point blank, period. This should not have even been a thing. Obviously, again, like I said, like nothing really happened to the girl apparently. Like, I don't know. It's just sad. Like I feel like it's because of like more Black women and more BIPOC people are joining and coming in. I hope that this will slow it down, and I'm seeing a lot more people like stand up, like especially player, like their teammates. Like I've seen a couple like videos here and there of like teammates sticking up for each other, but like it should just not be happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it should just not be happening on the ice, should not be happening at any point in time, should not be happening at home, nowhere, you know?
No, exactly. You know, and you say it the right way. It's kind of just like, how do we get to that point, right? And how do you cope with it as we get to that point? We're seeing the changes. We're seeing the Black Girls Hockey Club. We're seeing the Hockey for All with Scotiabank. Okay, Hockey Diversity Alliance is kind of making its way. Angela James is now in that committee. They got, so we're getting some, we're getting the voices out there, right? And we're getting those preliminary steps. But until those actions, you know, they actually start to see some sort of actual change, we're now still in a coping state. We can correct behavior. We can call it out. It will now, I truly believe, with the, you know, cell phones and everyone rushing to video when something happens, we're good at calling things out in this generation. But now it's kind of getting to the point where there's nothing to call out, right? So in the meantime, as we're waiting, as we're coping for this, you know, I want to know, like, you're as an ally to the BIPOC community, but also as a member of a marginalized community as well. Several, I would just like your opinion on, or any kind of advice you have for little girls growing up. What would you have to say to them or your former self?
I would just say to any little girls out there wanting to play hockey, do it. Doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, how big, how small, how wide, how thin. It does not matter. Just join it, play it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Don't play, whatever. But that never hurts to try. I tried soccer, freaking hated it. Never played again. I tried hockey, loved it, kept going, you know? Like it doesn't, you just need to get out there, get out of your comfort zone, try something new. I know it might be very scary. I feel like that's like a really big part for little girls, you know, especially at that age. I mean, I was scared to start from a little boys team to a girls team, because I was older and I understood what was happening, and like it's like a bunch of little girls. It was the best time I've ever had in my life. You know, I've made so many great friends. I've made so many great memories. I've played too many games to count my fingers, and I've loved every second of it. It doesn't matter if we were losing 5-0 or winning 10-0, did not matter. It was all about the love of the sport and loving to play. So yeah, just go out there and try it, you know, like does not matter. Just go out and try. That was my one point.
Amazing. I love that takeaway. Well, Nat, it was great having you on this episode. We'll definitely have to have you back sometime.
Please, I'd love to.
Love to kind of just getting your advice on all this, guys. Main takeaway I got from that there, and I hope you guys do too, is that, you know, no matter who you are, you can step on that ice, and don't let anyone else tell you that you cannot. That is up to you to do. So that's a great message that I wish I had growing up. But regardless, glad I still went on the ice. So that, you know, always great to have you, Nat. We'll wrap it up here, and you guys can hit up Nat on social media. I'll be dropping all of our socials. Leave your comments, any replies you have, any questions you have on our social. Follow us at Interrupting Sports on Instagram. Hit us up on LinkedIn. You know where to find us. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.